Curious, when we picture a millionaire, a few specific stereotypes usually come to mind. We think of a founder cashing out a tech startup, a trust fund kid living off a massive inheritance, or a specialist physician pulling in an elite salary. But data from long-term wealth studies tells a completely different story. Between 80 and 88% of all millionaires in the United States are entirely self-made. They didn't inherit their money, and they didn't win the lottery. Researchers have identified an occupational paradox. Those high-earning physicians and corporate executives frequently have very few liquid assets. Despite their massive paychecks, they are often practically broke. This chart shows how that paradox plays out. A physician making $250,000 a year can possess a shockingly low liquid net worth, contrasted alongside a teacher making $70,000 a year who has accumulated a massive cash buffer. In fact, the most common professions for actual millionaires are engineers, accountants, and teachers. Earning a high income does not mathematically equate to a high net worth. True wealth is defined by what you keep, not what you earn. So how does a household making the median American post-tax income of $72,300 consistently beat an executive making triple that amount? The culprit is a behavioral pattern known as lifestyle creep, which is driven by the psychological pressure of the better-than theory. As incomes rise, there is immense social pressure to display visible markers of success. High earners fall into a trap of hyperconsumption, buying depreciating luxury items, massive houses, and expensive cars to match the perceived status of professional peers. Academics classify these high-earning, high-spending individuals as under-accumulators of wealth. By prioritizing the visible appearance of being rich, they destroy the seed capital required to actually become wealthy. Without that capital, even the highest earners are left highly vulnerable to economic shocks. According to research by financial planner Tom Corley, the most accessible route to $1 million is the saver investor path. It requires no massive risks, and you don't need an advanced degree to execute it. Unlike the underaccumulators, this group falls into the category of prodigious accumulators of wealth. Their defining characteristic is the ability to systematically engineer a savings rate of 15 to 20% of their post-tax income. They achieve this because they actively reject societal status symbols. They prioritize utility over luxury to keep their housing and transportation costs low, and they avoid carrying credit card debt entirely. But an aggressive savings rate is not the final step. Stashing cash in a Vent account only generates the raw seed capital needed to power the actual wealth engine. Discipline creates capital, but that capital must be aggressively shielded from taxes and inflation if it is going to survive and grow over a 30-year timeline. To accomplish this, saver investors follow a strict order of operations to mathematically optimize every single dollar they save. Step 1 is building a liquid emergency fund, covering 3 to 6 months of living expenses. This cash buffer exists specifically to prevent the forced liquidation of investments during a personal crisis. Step 2 is tax optimization. This involves capturing free money from an employer 401k match and utilizing accounts like a Roth IRA to legally shield investment growth from the IRS. Step 3 deploys capital into the market. Saver investors use a 3-fund portfolio, dividing money across total U.S., international, and bond market index funds. This captures compound growth, while eliminating the active fee drag that destroys everyday retail returns. The architect of this philosophy was Vanguard founder Jack Bogle, who famously advised that instead of trying to find a winning needle in the haystack, you should just buy the entire haystack. By utilizing systematic, low-cost indexing, you mathematically guarantee that you will capture the total return of human economic progress over your working life. Curious, if you fast-forward 30 years, this process consistently yields a portfolio worth $1 to $3 million. But what is the actual utility of having that much money sitting in a brokerage account? The answer comes from the research of financial planner William Bengen, who established the 4% rule, the foundational math for modern retirement planning. This graph shows the mechanics of the rule. The top line displays a portfolio weathering volatile market dips, while the steady line underneath shows a safe 4% annual withdrawal. This creates a sustainable, passive income stream that survives market crashes without depleting your principal. Wealth accumulation acts like a massive mechanical flywheel. It takes an enormous amount of effort to get moving in the beginning, but over decades of compounding interest, it eventually spins with unstoppable momentum. The formula is simple and boring. Spend less than you make, automate the difference, buy the whole market, and stay the course. The average American does not need to secure an elite salary or win the lottery to build a 7-figure net worth. You simply need to reject cultural consumption, ignore the status symbols, and change your algorithm.